Hello, welcome to Presume Technologies. I'm Venkat. This is part 14, Loops in C Sharp. In this session, we will be talking about do while loop. In part 13, we actually spoke about while loop, and in later sessions, we'll talk about for and for each loop. Let's look at an example. In part 13, when we are talking about a while loop, we wrote a simple program where the program will ask the user to enter a target number, and then the program will continue to print even numbers until that target number using the while loop. If you're not sure of how to use while loop, please check part 13 in this video series. Okay, let's rewrite that program and then we will enhance that using a do while loop. So console.writeLine. So let's ask the user to enter his target number. So please enter your target. So once the user enters his target, we need to read that from the console and store it in a variable. So let's read it from the console using console.readLine, and we have to convert that to integer. So we use int.parse method. So we have the user target number and we need to start counting at 0. So start equals 0 and we will use the while loop. While start is less than or equal to user target. What we need to do, we need to print that even number. So console.write, and between each even number we want a space, so we will give that space, and then we need to increment the start counter by 2 because we want to print even numbers. Now this program is very much similar. It's actually exactly same to what we have seen in while loop video session. So if you're not sure, if you need explanation about this program, please check back that tutorial. Alright, so what will this program do? It will ask the user to enter a target and it prints even numbers until this target. Now, I want to make this program a little more interactive in the sense this program will run only once. Now, if I have to print, let's say, even numbers until 20, I have to close this program and run it once again. So every time I want a different set of even numbers, I have to run the program again. So, but I want the user to be in a position to decide when he wants to stop printing even numbers. Okay, he wants to continue with the program as long as he wants it. Okay, and then when he decides, okay, I don't want to print even numbers anymore, I want to quit the program, that's when it should print, that's when it should actually quit. Okay, to do that we will ask the user, okay, do you want to continue? Do you want to continue? And the two options he has are yes or no. Now, the user will say yes or no. So we need to read that option from the console. So read the user choice from the console and store it in a variable. Since yes or no is a string, we will create a variable of type string. String user choice equal to console.readLine. So once we have the user choice, so we are expecting from the user only yes or no words. If he types anything else apart from yes or no, it's a garbage. We don't know what to do. So we have to ask him once again to enter a valid choice, yes or no. Okay, so if user choice is not equal to yes, and if user choice not equal to now, if the user choice is not yes and if it is not now, then we know that it's an invalid input. So console.writeLine invalid choice, please say yes or no. Okay, so how long we want to do execute these four statements as long as he enters yes or no. If he enters anything apart from those two, then we want to keep this happening. We want to keep prompting the user. Now your input is invalid. Please enter yes or no. And to do that, we have to use some kind of a loop. So we can make use of actually the do while loop. So we want to do this. We want to do all this until do while. How long we should do? As long as the user choice is not equal to yes and not equal to no. If it's not any of these, keep prompting the user to enter a valid input. But here we have an error. It says user choice does not exist in the current context. That's because we declared a user choice variable within the do loop. So the scope is not available here. So we should actually declare that variable right there and initialize that with an empty string. And since we have declared it there, there is no need to actually, to actually declare it here. So let's delete that. So if you look at this one, it's a very simple piece of code. We are using a do while loop here. Okay, do continue to execute all these statements as long as this condition is true. As long as the user has not entered yes and no, prompt him, okay, please enter a valid choice. All right. Okay. So now when we actually go ahead and run this program, look at what's going to happen. So it's asking me, please enter your target. Let's say 10. It prints until 10 and it's asking me, do you want to continue? Let's say I type some garbage here. It says invalid choice. Please say yes or no. Do you want to continue? Again, I type a garbage. So it's now in this loop. As long as I type yes or no, it doesn't get out of that loop. But the moment I type yes, let's say, the program will terminate now because after this, there's nothing. It's just closing brace and the program terminates. Okay, but what should ideally happen? It should ask me to enter my target once again. So even this piece should be in a loop until he decides, okay, I don't want to run this program anymore. Okay, so let's have another block of do while loop. So do all this, do all the stuff. Okay, but how long? While the user choice is yes. As long as user says, okay, yes, I want to continue. Yes, I want to continue. Continue doing it. So while user choice is equal to yes. But again, we have a problem here. You can see that, let's put a semicolon there. You can see that there is a red squiggly line. The name user choice does not exist in the current context. User choice is declared here, but we are using outside of the do loop. So we need to declare it at the beginning. So string user choice, instead of using empty strings, we can also use a property like so, string.empty. Okay, so that's it. So now if we go ahead and run this program, okay, it's asking me to enter my target. Let's say I want to print even numbers until 5, so 0 to 4. Do you want to continue? I type some garbage in. It says invalid choice. Please say yes or no. So I say yes. So please enter your target. This time I want to say I want to print even numbers until 10. It prints even numbers until 10. Again, it's asking me, do you want to continue? Now I say no. Please enter any key to continue, and the program terminates. Okay, but however, there is a small error with this program. Let's look at that. When I run this program, it's asking me enter your target. Let's say 5. Do you want to continue? Now let's say I type in yes, all capital letters. Okay, look at what's going to happen. It's saying invalid choice. You know why that happens? That's because of a case mismatch. It's asking me, do you want to continue? And I have typed yes. Okay, so user choice will actually receive that yes because we are reading from the console. And then is capital letter YES equal to this one? Obviously no. It's not equal to that. Okay, so what's going to happen? It becomes true, and it is also not equal to no. It enters here and says, invalid choice. So in order to overcome that issue, what you can do is convert whatever the user has entered into an uppercase and compare. So now, whatever the case may be, upper, lower, or a mix of both, it's still going to work without any issues. So if we run it now, please enter your target. I want to print until 10. Do you want to continue? Small y, capital E, small s, and still, oh, invalid choice. Please say yes or no. It shouldn't be doing that. So let's debug why it's happening. Okay. So we said user choice console.readLine dot to upper. Okay, we are reading whatever the user has entered and converting that to upper. Yes, and that's obviously because we are comparing it to small letters here. So make that upper and make this upper as well, because we converted the user choice to upper, but we were comparing it to capital Y and smaller case E and S. Okay, so now the program should work without any issues. So 10, do you want to continue yes or no? Small y, capital E, small s, but still it should work. Do you want to continue? Yes or no? Small y, capital S. Oh, yeah. And we have to do all that here as well. I just did it in one place. So we need to do it at all places in order for that to work as expected. Right? So let's go ahead and run that. 10. Do you want to continue? Small y, capital E, small s. It should work this time. Please enter your target. So 4. Do you want to continue? Both of them small. Press any key to continue. So it works. Okay. So we can very easily create loops like this using a do while loop. If you actually remember part 12, switch statement continuation, we have actually written a small, coffee purchasing program where we have created a loop similar to this, but we haven't used do while loops there. We used go to statement. And by all means, go to statement should actually be avoided, because when we use go to statements, the control randomly jumps from one location to another location, and if the program is a little complex one, it becomes extremely difficult debugging that application. That's why it's always recommended to avoid go to statement, and most of the time we can actually. In fact, the coffee purchasing program that we have created using go to statement, we can rewrite that using do while loop. If you're not sure what that coffee purchasing program is, and if you need explanation of that code, please check back, part 12 of this video series. Okay, but however, I have that piece of code here for you. I'll quickly walk you through the program. So this coffee purchasing program. So if you look at this program, you know, it's using labels here. If you're not sure what a label is and how to use go to statement, as I told you, please check back part 12. And then we have a decide label there. And look at this, we're using go to decide, go to specific label. And similarly, somewhere we say go to start. Okay, so but this go to statement should be avoided by all means. So let's run this program. So please select your coffee size, 1 for small, 2 for medium, 3 for large. Let's say I want to buy a large coffee. Okay, I bought one large coffee, but do you want to buy another coffee? Let's say I want to buy another coffee, another large one. Do you want to buy another coffee? No. So I bought two large coffee and my bill amount is 6. So this program is in some kind of a loop, just like the one we have written, prior to this. Okay, but I have rewritten this same program using do while loop. So now let's copy paste that. Let's run this. Okay, please select your coffee size. Let's say I want to buy a large coffee. Do you want to buy another coffee? Yes or no? I'm typing in garbage, so it says your choice is invalid. Please try again. Do you want to buy another coffee? Yes or no? Let's say yes, and let's enter the large size. So do you want to buy another coffee? No. Look at this, I've got two large coffee and the bill amount is 6. The behavior is exactly the same, but instead of using go to statement, this time I'm actually using a do while loop, just like how we have used it in even numbers program. Okay, so many a times you can actually avoid using go to statement. So if at all, if it's possible to do so, always consider replacing go to with other loops. All right, so that's about do while loop. So in the previous session, we actually spoke about the while loop. And if you remember, while loop checks the condition at the beginning. If the condition is satisfied, then the statements following the while loop are executed within the while loop block are executed. And this process is continued as long as the condition evaluates to true. The moment the Boolean expression for the while loop becomes false, the, the, the block is skipped and then the statement following the while loop is executed. Okay, when we use any of these loops, it's always important to keep in mind to update the variable that participates in the Boolean expression so that the loop can end at some point of time. Whereas in the do while loop, a do loop checks its condition at the end of the loop. Okay, so this means the do loop is guaranteed to execute at least once. And usually do loops are used to present a menu to the user. For example, something like, do you want to continue? Yes or no? What kind of coffee do you want to buy? 1 for small, 2 for large, 3 for 2 for medium, 3 for large. Okay, so if you want to present the menu to the user and then based on that menu we want to take any decisions, then probably we can make use of this do while loop. Okay, so if you look at the differences between while and do while loop checks the condition at the beginning, whereas do while loop checks the condition at the end of the loop. And because of this difference, the do loop is guaranteed to execute at least once, whereas for while loop there is no such guarantee. If the condition becomes false the first time, it doesn't even execute once. Okay, so do loop is guaranteed to execute at least once, whereas while loop is not. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.